Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Women Veterans Alliance Unconference Speaker Series, webinar series. I'm Melissa Washington. I am the CEO and founder of Women Veterans Alliance, and I would like to welcome you all here today. If you're watching live or you're watching this on our YouTube channel, we have our final speaker of our speaker series. And if you just jump to the next slide real quick. If you're not following us on the different social media platforms, feel free, we're on all of them. Subscribe, like us, connect with us, follow us. We share some great content, information out there, as well as not only our events, but also other events taking place across the United States. And if you're interested in becoming a member, we do have our membership information at womenveteransalliance.org/join. And just want to jump to the last slide. And as you can see, we're on our last speaker here. We did unfortunately have to postpone our annual signature event, the Unconference. It'll take place next year in October in Las Vegas. And we want to make sure that we brought those speakers to you here today there. So she'll introduce herself and tell you all about herself, but I just want to share that. So Doris and I, we've never met in person yet. We were supposed to have met in Las Vegas, but it's one of those things where, you meet someone on email and you have those connections. So we started this conversation in 2017. She had reached out to me regarding this project. It was a fantastic idea, and like with anything, things take a while. So I'm very excited to have you here today, Doris, to be able to share what you've been working on, why you're doing this, and why you chose women veterans to be part of her map. And I don't want to take up your time, so I'm going to turn it over to you right now. And thank you again, Doris.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here. So today I'm going to talk about a web mapping application that resulted as a part of my dissertation research that's called HerMap, which is an interactive map of health and educational resources for women veterans. So why HerMap? Well, this conversation actually started with a former coworker of mine. I was a DoD civilian, and I told my friend, she's an Air Force vet, that I'm going back to school and wanting to study like public health and mapping and things like that. And my friend told me that when she got out of the military, that she had difficulty finding health and education, health resources that are suitable for her needs, that there wasn't a centralized location for this kind of information. And so I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And I have a lot of family who served. So then I asked my cousin about it and said, oh, my friend told me that she's had issues trying to find these resources. And she told me that other women veteran friends of hers had the same issue. And my cousin agreed and said, yes, it's hard for me to find like a centralized location of resources. And I was just like, oh, okay. I'm always taking this kind of information in. And so I decided to do some digging to see what was done in my discipline in geography, because that's where my background is, on women veterans and mapping in general. And I didn't see much. And then I looked in some public health stuff. And of course, there's things about women veterans, but I didn't see anything about web applications in terms of public health. So I decided to create a web mapping app which leverage my expertise in geographic information systems and public health that could be a useful resource. Also, on top of that, when I was doing the research, there was this DAV report, I think it's called The Long Road Home. And one of the things that they mentioned in the report was this need of a centralized location for women veterans to look up these resources, because it did not exist as of that report. And one of their recommendations were to create something that was centralized. So I felt like this was a good response to that report. So here's HerMap 1, here's the web address for HerMap 1.0. There's actually 2 versions of this, and I'll explain why as I go along with this presentation. But I first just want to give you the basis of what Her Map 1.0 is about, because it's still up. And then I'll show you a quick preview, a quick demo of it. So Her Map 1.0 is actually made up of 3 apps. So originally when I was doing my research, it was really focused in San Antonio. And then after that, I created another app for just all women veteran groups and advocates, which it also includes a listing of women veteran state coordinators, and just people who identify themselves as allies or advocates for women veterans. And then just pretty much I just did a search of all the women veteran groups I could find online and put them on this map. And then Her Story Map is more of a technical piece where I was just looking at accessibility for women veterans in the city of San Antonio to women, to gender specific health providers. So in order to create this app, I needed to get input because I'm not a veteran myself. So I need to better understand the context of the users that I'm creating this app for. So Melissa helped me out with this. She sent this survey out. San Antonio Women Veterans sent this survey out. The Student Veteran Office at my university sent the survey out, and then just friends and family did too. And I got around 92 survey respondents, and then 23 people agreed to do an interview after they did the survey. So I just want to show some themes that were present in this, in the survey. So one of the most important things to me was to know, where are women veterans getting this kind of information? And as you can see, the internet obviously is one. And then also, and this came out in the interviews, that women veterans get information about health and educational resources through other women veterans or women veteran groups. And as you can see, none is quite prominent in this word cloud. So, a number of women veterans just felt like they didn't get any, but if they did get something from a facility, it would be the VA. And so I just wanted to kind of share some responses I got. Accessibility in terms of getting these resources really is contingent on, is the actual resource that's advertised provided at the place that they say they're going to provide it at. And I found this very interesting that this respondent's local VA advertised for certain services, but these services were not there. So I feel like her app could deal with that, in which if that service that she needs is not there, she can go on the map and see what services in her area are there that might not be offered at the VA. And then another one question I asked women veterans were, what kind of health resources are you interested in? And a number of respondents mentioned alternative therapy, And so art therapy came out. Actually, one interviewee was an art therapist herself. Holistic therapy such as equine therapy, or just having a women's social group that has shared experiences would be beneficial for one's physical and mental health. And so the way Her Map responded to that was to have that listing of women veteran groups, which can be filtered by location, and have those advocates who are art therapists or provide this equine therapy programs, because there are veteran specific equine therapy programs out there. So instead of just saying, I want it, they can at least find it on the map. So one important part of me getting the info out is to create pamphlets. So if your group is interested in getting some pamphlets, let me know. I am more than happy to send them out to you. But I tailored it for just general, for any population, any place, with the Women Veteran and Groups Advocate pamphlet. And then I actually did do my field work in San Antonio. So when I was down in San Antonio, I gave quite a few out here and there and everywhere, both in San Antonio and Austin. So there's just like some limit there, as with everything, there's limitations. And I just want to get that out there before I show the apps. The survey participant sample was low. Usually this tends to be the case in research with women veterans, a low response rate, but I did what I could with the information I got and try to create an app that responded to the themes I saw in the interviews and surveys. The VA, at least when I was doing this research, because this was, like Melissa said, I contacted her in 2017, so this is when this started. But at that time, when I went on the VA website, I could not find really like, okay, I click on the VA hospital and they tell me who's a women's health provider. So that was kind of difficult for me because that was one desired piece of information and I really couldn't provide it to the best of my ability. And also at that time, I didn't have as much user experience feedback as I wanted. So, you know, the more user experience feedback you get for the apps, the better you can make it for the target user. Also, the workflow is not very reproducible. I think I went overboard on trying to make it very customizable. But let's just say if a women veterans organization reaches out to me and they have some info to give me, it might be a little difficult to format the data they gave me to put it in the app just because I made it too customizable, and I'll show you what I mean. And so the first version of this app is hosted by a company called Esri, and they're more or less the Microsoft of mapping. And so since I was a student at the time, I was able to have an Esri license. But I mean, the apps are still there, but if I just wanted to take this for myself, it costs $1,000 for the license. So currently I cannot support that kind of cost. So I just want to give an overview of HERMAP 1.0. That's what I like to call it now. So this is the landing page of the app. I thought it would be very easy just to have just a central location. I plan to put the new version, a link to the new version of the app up. But as you can see, you have, you know, you click this buttons and it'll take you to each of the apps, and then just some little information here. And then just some important documentation on the features and all of that, just to give people an overview of what the apps do before they interact with it. But let me just show you all three. I'll try to do a quick overview because I want to make sure I leave time to talk about the second version and then answer any questions. So this is HERMAP San Antonio. And so it has the splash screen, and I just need to reload it. What's going on here? Okay, so I don't know what's going on here, but it's supposed to show a map of the city of San Antonio, but the base map is not showing up for some reason. Let me just re-click it. I apologize. Let's see what happens here. This is really weird. Let me see if the second one is like that. Okay. I'm just gonna usually, as you can see, there's supposed to be a base map that's supposed to look like this, but for some reason it's not loading. But let me just give you a preview of just the features. So the purple dots are women health providers. The black dots are health and educational resources. And as you click on one, you can see the program. And I had the criteria based on the interview responses I got. So are they women veteran specific? Are they women specific? I talked to the women veteran state coordinator of Texas, and she told me, oh, you know, women, yes, have women veteran specific sources, but, you know, also having women specific sources is very important because a lot of women veterans are trying to get into business. So having these kind of resources are going to be useful for them too. And then also for the health and educational resources, I just have the provider's name, the address. It's the person, a veteran themselves. Some people mention that, oh, you know, we would like to see a provider who's also a veteran because we feel like they can relate to us better. The way the Texas medical data is presented is public record. You can tell based on the residency whether the person's the doctor's a veteran or not. And also a number of doctors actually listed that they were a veteran on their clinic's website. And then also have the primary specialty or secondary specialty, and then just does it accept TRICARE. And then I just had like a combined internet rating score just to give people an idea of how they're rated across like Google and Facebook. And also it's important to know that there's this filtering, which was very like, I went overboard with it. But you know, you can filter for women providers, and then you just click this button and it's going to filter based on that. And the same with like resources. So if you're just looking for education, it filters out for that. So the other one I want to show, the one that actually has a base map, is the women veteran groups and advocates. Ooh, oh my goodness. And so going here, sorry, it's like my mouse is very sensitive. We have the state, the women veteran state coordinators here. We have information on the women veteran groups and advocates. And you can also do a filtering based on state. So network and support, we can do California, turn on the filter, and then you have a couple of, hold on, gotta turn something off here. Let me just turn this off, yeah. Okay, so let me do this again. So do California and do network and support. And as you can see, the groups show up, and there's Women Veterans Alliance right there. And then finally, I'm not going to go into this one too much because I felt like this was more for one that's for like health communication, or maybe policymakers can use this one just about the situation of women veterans in San Antonio, and then just their accessibility. I ran a specific spatial model to show how accessible women health providers are to women veterans in just the city of San Antonio proper. And then I just kind of incorporated some patient reviews. I was kind of going off of this idea that acceptability of health providers is important to accessibility. There was a major paper in public health back in the 80s about that. So I just added that in based on patient reviews, and then changes in accessibility. So that's an overview of the first iteration of HERMAP. So now I'm going to talk about the second iteration of HERMAP. So when I finished school in 2019, and then I moved to St. Louis, I'm currently working as a GIS librarian and social science data curator. And so I really wanted to, I did this project just because, you know, because of family and friends, but also I wanted something that I could do moving forward after I'd done with school, because I really believe that the type of research that we do as PhD students should be something that should be something that the general population or specific population or community can use. So I had to kind of rethink things because I was no longer a student, and I do have access to an Esri license because I'm an employee, but I'm kind of like, well, if I want to do this like on my own, what can I do? So I changed like the framework that I used for the app, and I moved to this one called our Shiny Web Framework, which is free. And it's still an interactive map, and it's still an interactive, there's an interactive database as well, which is also in the other app as well. I just, for the sake of time, I'm not going to show it right now. Okay, so this is the app that I deployed. So I'm just going to deploy it right now and just show you what I have. This is extremely in the development phase. Melissa and I were talking, and she's like, hey, can you like add some resources for Sacramento on her map? And I said, sure. And then like some of the resources that she gave me, I was like, oh wow, like for example, there's this program where that's connected with the libraries and also vet centers, and it was statewide. So I just said, you know what, I'm just going to get as much information as I can for California. And also my supervisor teaches introduction to geographic information systems class. And I talked to her, and I also talked to the someone who runs the student veterans office at my university. And we just thought it would be a great idea to incorporate this as an educational piece for students so they better understand women veterans needs, why her map is important, and just understanding that what they learn in the classroom is something that they can use to be helpful to various communities. So actually the students from this class also helped with the data collection efforts for this map. So yeah, currently California is on there, but I have info for, of course, Texas, Missouri, Colorado, and I believe Indiana. So just to give, like right now, it's just California. And you can also do it by city. So like, let's just do like Los Angeles, and then it just filters out based on that. And then you have your categories, which is also filtered out based on the location. And then you have just the information here. Because I'm a librarian, I was really excited to know that librarians are working with collaborating and having these vet centers. So yeah, it just has some basic information there. And another piece I added to this was a resource listing, which you can do the same thing. You can do it by state and by city, and then by category as well. And if you know what you want, you can do a search for it too. So I'm still working on like tinkering the finer details of this, just because one section is not working the way I want it, but it's pretty much ready to go, more or less. And then also just the collaborators, you know, I have a listing there. And then of course, like if you want pamphlets, I'm here, and I can send them to you. And then being a librarian and being a data librarian, I would be remiss if I don't give information about the app, data sources, disclaimer. I remember when I was in San Antonio, one woman veteran was very concerned about security and like, you know, someone like profiting off of that. But as you can see, this is a Creative Commons license and it's non-commercial. So in no way, shape, or form can this information be commercially used. It's for health education and health communication purposes only. So the advantages of this app is that it's a low cost for hosting this site. There's a tier service model for this. So it's based on the number of hours and the number of users that pings the account. So if it gets to the point where a lot of users ping it, then I can just upgrade it to one level, and it's still well within like a reasonable cost, because I did get a grant from my university when I was a PhD student for to do this research, and the grant money's going to things like this. And then also I worked on a spreadsheet structure that's more generalizable and reproducible, because the ideal is, you know, I have women veteran groups or any group contact me and say, hey, I have some data, can you add it? And either I'll add it or someone else can add it, and it's just in an easy way in which like this can be easy to replicate and update. Because when it comes to coding, reproducibility is extremely important. Same with data management. But there's limitations. I'm literally the only person working on this. So it's going to take a long time to do all that I want to do. But I'm very grateful of the help I got along the way with the intro to GIS class, giving me some data and just getting input from people from my workplace. And I'm still working on that reproducible workflow because I really want it one day that like the Women Veterans Group can just dump some data on my Google Drive. I do a little formatting and then my code just pings that Google folder and just automatically updates things. So that's the pipe dream, but it's going to take some time to get those kinks out. So just some future directions of my research. I'm just continuing to create a reproducible workflow, which will be good for me or any other volunteer who wants to help out, and just women veteran groups too. If I give them a data format that they can just put it in that way and just give it to me. And then just finding more volunteers for data collection and app maintenance. So if you know of anybody who's like, I really like data, I really like collecting data, I like to code, send them my way. And then just securing funding as well, because there is a cost to maintain the Google Drive and things like that, which is currently being, funded by the grant, but the grant money is going to run out sooner or later. So just to give more information out, like if you know anybody for volunteer, who might be interested, I'm looking for people who are interested in data collection and data entry and a little data management. And for app maintenance, I use the R programming language in order to create this app. So, you don't have to be like an expert in it, because I definitely am not by any means whatsoever. But if you just have a little bit of a background, I think this would be a great project to work on to improve your skills in like data science or, mapping. So I actually am almost finished. So I just want to give, first of all, I just want to give a big thank you to Melissa for just taking the time out of her schedule to talk to me about this project and give me feedback. And we've just been continuing this conversation since 2017. I'm just so grateful for all of her insights and advice. And so, yeah, I have just want to thank my friends, family, Texas Veterans Commission, Jennifer Goetz, she's the person who is the coordinator of the Student Veterans Office at Washington University, and Jennifer Moore, who's my supervisor, who teaches the Intro to GIS class and help this, be like happen. And so just some more info about me. I do have a digital portfolio. I will admit it has not been updated, but you can see the work that I've done so far. And if you ever want to contact me about anything about my app or just data or whatever, feel free to email me. And I also have a Twitter, and you can follow me on LinkedIn. So I'm done. So I was just wondering if anyone have any questions.
And if you have any questions, you can either just put them in the chat or just unmute yourself and you can ask Doris.
Hi, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to make a comment. Mm-hmm. I was actually seen by the VA today for a women's health issue, and my primary care physician didn't know who to refer me to outside of the VA, because what I need, the VA cannot provide. And I was thinking about this app because she told me it's probably just best for you to go try to find someone and then come back to me. And so I thought it would be so convenient if I had an app like this where I could source and vet physicians or other kind of care providers to help me get what I need. Because right now it's like going through a telephone book and trial and error. So I really hope that at some point we can do something with this app, because I know that there's a long list of women veterans that would find this useful.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that the VA themselves has like their website kind of went through some changes, and they have more of as I know they have some kind of searchable options, but still at the same time, I think the big issue is um, oh, like the data, that kind of data right now, at least not that I know of, is public and it needs to be made public. I actually had to do a data request with the VA just because they didn't have their updated veteran integrated service network. So that's definitely something I can look into and see if I can contact. Like, it took me a while to find someone to contact, but finally someone, I made a data request. So I just, I'm going to look into that and see if I can do the same thing. Just make a data request and see if, you can include the providers outside your network. Because I know they have it because I've seen it, but it's not in a way that I can use it. So I also think that's another issue with the VA data, is that even though we do have the data.gov, and they have moved towards that, it's just the data needs to be available so people can use it to create things like this. Are there any other questions?
Great, and thank you for sharing your contact information, because I know a lot of times people may have questions after this as well. So when do you think, as far as by the end of the year, you would have a link that we could share
Oh, a link to the app?
to the app?
Oh yeah, you can actually this is right here. I'll just put it in the chat. This is the actual link to the app itself. The thing is that I just need to put a little button on this page to say like HERMAP 2.0, but the app is deployed online, and so anyone can use it right now. And
Very good.
I can send that to you too.
Yeah, because I'm going to put a on our directory menu. I'm going to put the link there as well. Great. Well, thank you for all of your hard work. I know this is, still a work in progress, and it'll continue to be. And I hope that, we can help too with getting you help for people to continue keeping the data updated, and then also, any type of funding. Because I know it's so important too when we go to websites that we want to make sure that the data is updated to the best.
Right.
It's just out there. I mean, there's so many links and stuff you find, and then they don't even work. So
exactly. And that's one thing that the coordinator at the Student Veterans Office mentioned. I mean, at WashU, she's like, the thing about this data is that it needs to be updated regularly. So that's why she thought it would be a good idea to like integrate this as a classroom component, in an intro to GIS class, so they can get that data, and that data is constantly being updated, So, that's also a big thing, because some of the links, they don't work.
yeah.
And that needs to be QC'd. That's another thing as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, Doris, I thank you. And I thank all of you that attended, and everybody just keep checking back to the site as more information is continually being added, and also to reach out to Doris if there's some information that you have that you like to see on the map, and she can get that added there as well.
Right. Because if you have a service to provide, or of a service that you're using that you really like, that you want to share to the women veterans, you can, let me see if I should have it listed here. There's a form here that you can fill out. I have to update it, but I would say just put the women veteran groups and advocates for now, and then I can put that information in the app. I just need to update this. my bad. But yeah, please feel free to email me whatever way you want to contact me, because yeah. So I guess I do have a little bit of time, and I just wanted to show that the old version, not the old, I'll call it 1.0 because this is not going away. As you can see, like, there is an actual, like an interactive database that is running. So you can just, the way this framework is made is very easy to just put that on. But for the other framework, it's just better to have it as its separate session on its own. So I was asked to have my contact info shown. So here it is. And yeah, next year in Las Vegas, I hope to show a lot more, because I'm trying to, I'm not the best coder in the world. So I'm trying to get better at that as well. So I'm trying to, teach myself some more, especially for that reproducibility piece, because, I mean, you can almost create a code that can do these kind of tasks, like, and automate it. So are there any other questions? And thank you for the nice comment, Renee. I appreciate it.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you again, Doris.
Yeah.
Yes, and we look forward to having you in Las Vegas next year.
I am so looking forward to it.
Sounds good. All right, everybody, take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.